Magnification. Got a beautiful waning crescent moon. I quickly set up. Just got done with all my work. Hopefully it doesn't get too cloudy. The left side of the sky is completely clouded out. So, was that even a word? Clouded out. Hoot. What's going on? Vicky and Kimberly and Starlight, welcome. It's a little bit humid. What's happening, Cognitive? What's going on, Ellie? Hearts? No passive aggressiveness. All chill vibes tonight. Let's send out some kindness. What's happening, Mushroom Stamp? We got this waxing crescent, 27. Got Jupiter and Saturn coming up in tow. Let me know if the audio levels are good. It was a super fun show yesterday with Shockwave, Rick. I'm gonna start doing maybe weekly shows like that. And I want to talk about potentially inviting some of my regulars to like send me an email maybe, and we can do like a segment or maybe a question that you want to talk about. We can do little segments on the show. So I'm going to be working on that. All is well, all is well. What's going on, Light Moon? Evening. Take a quick peek at the dark side. You can see some of the clouds rolling through. Yeah, those are both stars. I'll check on what they are, but I don't think they have names. Top right is HIP 72596, and then top left, you got HIP 72811. Yeah, so that black frame, I can adjust that a little bit. That's just because I recentered the camera image in my streaming software. I'll get that working. scaled it up a little bit. What's happening, Genghis and Duplicate? Ow. Got some tunes. Let's get this party going. Did y'all get to catch that? So I just checked Stellarium, and it doesn't look like it didn't show the satellite. I think that was a satellite. I don't think that was a plane. It might have been, but man, it was going pretty damn quick. So if you jump back a little bit, you'll see this streak that goes across the moon. Very interesting. I've captured transits across the moon before, but usually they're a little bit slower than that. That was like, that left a trail. So let me know if you caught that in the chat. It's just like a couple of minutes back. Otherwise, I can link to it later, post-show. What's happening, chat room? Welcome, everybody. 10 to 9 over here, getting eaten by the mosquitoes, slaying out some jams, laying out some space. Night after night, we do this thing. I appreciate everybody coming through. Per usual, I'm doing a little bit of dark side right now. Going to flip and check out Jupes. I know there's a great Jovian moon config. And then Saturn as well. It's getting clear. Let's do it. So you can see this is a bit of that hurricane front, wibbly wobbly. So zoomed in here on Mare Crisium. So cognitive dissonance is asking me about Antares, and Ophiuchus. And so Antares is following Jupiter nightly. So it's a pretty prominent star that literally means the opposite, the opposer of Mars, and anti-Ares, really. And yeah, it glows very brightly and reddish. And we can go to it on the way to Jupiter after I'm done here with the moon. Ophiuchus, I feel, is just the name of the nebula that it's in. Am I wrong? I think, yeah, Rho Ophiuchus is like the nebular cluster. It's like a region, like a nebular pinch. It's a Z-pinch. It's such a Z-pinch. All right, so let's do a quick perusal of the lunar surface, and then we'll head on over to Jupes. But that's a good call out, cognitive dissonance. Appreciate it. So quick note here, as I mentioned last night, Mare Crisium, very, very simple and blatant example of a hexagon at a large scale. You can see it very clearly at the top, but really the whole thing has, and these are kind of, I guess, what Thunderbolt's project calls boundaries. So boundary layers are created based on electrical forces pushing outwards, growing these mares, craters, rails, etc. But this is one of those particular proofs, at least for me. Didn't realize they were just staring at us the whole time. And then further, you can see this kind of like the infinity shape, or the continuous loop, which is basically the two-dimensional cross-section of a torus, with the wall, the left wall of Crisium, and little Proclus in the middle, and then to the left of that is Sea of Serenity, and below that Sea of Tranquility. But it basically, Sea of Serenity and Mare Crisium form this infinity sign at the boundary. It's really insane. Oh, I was actually saying I literally aligned the scope using Antares, but I don't think my birth sign is either. I can see how you misunderstood that, or I misspoke. But yeah, I basically use Antares and Shaula, Shaula. It's another star that's to the left. And I use Shaula and Antares to basically do a 2-star alignment on the scope. All right, 2 little craterlets inside Crisium, Pierce and Picard, and a little sinuous rill on the mouth, like the crab head. Cognitive dissonance says the Great Conjunction is important, big event on 12/21/2020. I think I mentioned that, right? Which was, I looked that up. If you jump into Stellarium, you can see the alignment of Jupiter and Saturn right around where the moon is right now, actually, about 25 degrees on the ecliptic. And we'll be able to see, hopefully if it's not cloudy, we'll be able to see both Jupiter and Saturn in one frame, which is awesome and kind of scary, but we'll see. If we're live, it'll be amazing. What's going on? Can't see the name. Mabruk? Hassan Mabruk, I think. Wow, what's going on? This is a close-up of the moon. So we'll see if the Great Conjunction, where Jupiter and Saturn are close together, causes some sort of energetic play. Of course, Uranus, Mars, and the moon will also be in the sky when Jupiter and Saturn conjoin. So we'll see. It could be some sort of energetic event. It could also just be like a stormy night. It could also be really clear. I don't know, like I was expecting the lunar eclipse this past February to be really cloudy, and it was perfectly clear the whole night, oddly. So even though we have these kind of magnetic weather pattern predictions and people trying, you can't really judge which layer of magnetism is gonna push and create which weather pattern. So it's really a lot of speculation still. Hey, what's going on, Mary? Says the shape of the hexagon is everywhere in nature, even in our bones. Indeed, good call. Says lovely shape on Luna. Also in the honeycomb, of course, the bees follow magnetic electrical currents when they build, and so do we. If you look at cities from a distance, it looks like these sinuous rills and rivers, and electrical flow just looks like dendritic filaments. Take a little bit more footage of the moon. Alright, I'm going to give Jupiter and Saturn a little love. We'll do a quick jump to them and see what's going on. I'm not even questioning it. It's so beautiful. Dare I say anything? We'll see. The storms finally start to move off the Bahamas, which I'm kind of grateful for because the poor Bahamas was getting bullied. But we'll see what happens. I'm just stopping over here, quick pit stop at Antares, which actually has a very interesting formation around it. You can see these pairs of stars. This is in the Ophiuchus region. But thanks for your concern, Ellie. I appreciate it. If it's my time to go, it's my time to go. What could be better than doing space and chilling with my Spacian family. I'll toast to that. Hope y'all are feeling well. 9 o'clock in the grimy south. But this is Antares in the widest view. So I have the camera, an extender tube, the focal reducer into the 8-inch scope. I hear what you're talking about, cognitive dissonance. I tend not to talk about that stuff or that particular topic on the channel. It just gets people too, I don't know, a little sensitive, but it's very interesting information. Yeah, I'm totally aware of that. Actually, the Great Conjunction in 2020 is not that rare. It's every 20 years. I thought it was something like 2000, but it's not. It's actually just 20. It happened in 2000, in May, I think May 5th, and it also happened in 1980. It's really cool to actually just check it out in those programs like Stellarium. If you scrub back, you can kind of just click on Jupiter and then let it run over a course of years, and you'll see what gets close to Jupiter and what doesn't, and what crosses the other. I've been noticing that even with all the years and all the videos and all the things I've watched and read, that I still don't know like what's out there. There's so much other stuff. Like recently I was looking at the telescope from Apollo 16, the UV photos, and it's undeniable that there's some way to go to space and actually take pictures of Earth with stars behind it, and it's just incredible. So there's a lot of stuff out there. But we got a little Antares, and I'm going to head over to Jupiter in a sec. Just picking a song for y'all. Something new. Let's do the race to space. Actually, I'll give you just a general opinion of patterns. Like, patterns do exist. However, I think that everything pretty much is vibrating and moving through the universe or the ether or dark matter, and patterns can only be trusted up to a point, because I think there are gradations, there are linear curves, there are waves, there are quantizations. I don't think judging things by like it's 20 years, it's 200 years, it's 3. The Mayans said anything like that is really hard to say. It's 100%. That's that pattern. At least for me, I think there's always room for it to change. I think there's also room for it to change dramatically, not just be off by a little bit. So every time people make predictions, I jump to my philosophical perspective, which is anything that's future is anything that you've experienced is basically past. So we think we can predict the future, but honestly, that's just not the way it works. So even if we have some patterns and like maybe something will happen next year, what I've actually noticed that the pattern is that people get hyped up and freaked out and nothing tends to happen. But at the same time, we live in a crazy reality where death is at the doorstep, and I don't think it's an avoidable concept that the world is very dangerous, but at the same time, it's also amazing. Diplomatic answer. I mean, I'm not avoiding what you're implying, which is the fact that events occur on particular dates that match geometry or mathematics, but everything does. You could basically use mathematics to derive any series of coincidences using numerology or gematria, simply because it's recursive fractals. It's like saying, I found a triangle in a fractal, in a Mandelbrot, but yeah, you found 10 to the power infinity triangles in a fractal. It's the same sort of thing. It's like you can find any type of connection. Actually, that was a terrible analogy, but something like that, basically, like seeing a segment of a fractal and being like, oh, I'll never see that part of the fractal again, but it's recursive at levels, magnitudes. Anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna look this one back. What's up, Carolina Sky Astronomy? Exactly. Duplicate makes the best comment, says, I predict wacky predictions will never end. It reminds me of that Sparks song, I predict. But very funny. Just, yeah, that's really what curiosity will never end. People trying to survive instead of die will never end. You can make some predictions, but whether or not the alignment of Jupiter and Saturn will toast Earth, I don't know if we can really make that call. Although, if you get like, you know, X-class flare or micronova from the sun, or I don't know, a comet, you know, I'll try and stream it, and the end of the world will be one final toast for the space family. But till then, we keep living, and I'll run this one back. Let's take a look at Jupes. Yo, yo, alright. Just want to let that tune play through, and was drifting by some jupes and some Saturn system. This is the super wide shot with the extender, so I'm going to switch it up in a second after the moon sets. But got Titan, Rhea, Tethys, and what's the other one? I know Eyepieces is somewhere at the very bottom. Rhea, Mimus, and Dione. There we go. Okay, we got some questions in the chat. Prow, what's going on, says, hello, I just watched the recent Sapphire project update. That's a great segue to talking about it because it is amazing, the quality of the footage. What they were talking about, of course, the content is like super top-notch and insane and like just completely makes sense when you think about it. If you've watched all the Thunderbolts project videos, to see these plasma shells in action and the elements being created, the possibility of changing half-lives by charge, the structure of the geometry, the consistency of the experiment, the not forcing the experiment, and on is just like massively powerful. And it's hard not to make puns about it. But yeah, I've watched it a few times. I'm watch it a few more times. I'm going to post it actually here. Why not? Take the opportunity. Talk about the Saturn wave thing. Saturn refraction. Oh, and triple conjunction. Meanwhile, I'm going to head back to the moon because it's going to start setting. Alright, so OBS is being a little glitchy. You might have to refresh. So first, I posted the link to the Sapphire update on Thunderbolts project. And then I want to just mention, check out the description of this video and all the videos for Electric Universe peeps, like Electric Universe Eyes, See the Pattern, Kronos, Greg J, Thunderbolts Project, Sky Scholar, and many others, and even Suspicious Observers, and Ken Wheeler, Theoria Apophysis. All the information is good if you know what to make of it. Back at the moon here. Oh, Starlight says, you're welcome, and also you're free to share with us, but if we can uplift you with some energy and some tunes and space, I'm happy to do that. In a way, I need these shows too. That's the confession. It's just every day I think about it, I'm like, this is all I really want to do. I gotta do stuff to pay for it. Let me know if I missed you, if you showed up and I haven't said what's up. I'm trying to read all the comments. So Sapphire, Thunderbolts project, ask me questions about it, or tell me what you think of it, or just share it if you know how powerful it is. It's really important, I think, to tell Thunderbolts project to keep the quality up at that level, because 4K is one thing, but also it's very well shot. It's inviting, and you can see behind the scenes, you can sense, it's palpable. And I feel like that's the type of stuff that will really engage people on Electric Universe or plasma cosmology, or at least give them an opportunity to think about it in a way that's not like instantly conspiratorial or crackpottery. All right, so let's do some moonage zooms, but before that, I'm going to talk quickly about the Saturn diffraction, refraction. So I'm having a tough time changing it entirely because we've been saying lunar wave and Jupiter wave for so long, but I really think it's a refraction, which is basically like when you put a spoon in water and it bends the image of the spoon. There is no spoon, but that's really what, yeah, I know a lot of people think that. I shouldn't even have said that. No, I think that Saturn is still a real planet, always was, and it's just the magnetosphere or atmosphere of Earth that is made of plasma double layers, maybe many of them, but they come in double layer pairs because Birkeland currents are, because electricity essentially is coaxial. It's like two pairs intertwined. I believe that. Maybe I'm wrong about it, but I think that's why. And so the coaxial circuit is existent on every level, replicating fractally. And our atmosphere has these magnetic pockets, these plasma layers, and possibly there's either a current flowing through it that passes almost like a very thin line of Gauss of energy, and we see it as a refractive aberration in basically between us and the vision of Saturn or Jupiter or the moon. I really think it's something like that. Shockwave Rick was saying that he sort of agrees with that. He has some ideas, and we're going to talk about it, I think, on the electric view at some point. But for me, that makes the most sense. It means everybody can see the same event. It means the camera is not involved. It's very simple debunking of the camera. The camera would affect everything. You'd see the entire screen that you see right here with the histogram at the bottom right and the aperture and the ISO. If there were some sort of glitch in the camera, you'd see the whole feed be affected. The other thing is that I've caught a lunar wave and other people have caught lunar waves while also moving a camera. So those are two things. And then for airplane trails or turbulent trails, I think the real identifier is that turbulent trails from airplanes and all sorts of jets basically spirals the same way a Birkeland current does in like a smoke trail or a turbulence trail. Even if they're invisible, I think you still see this rolling, twisting current that goes across the moon. I've caught it a bunch of times. I've caught it across Jupiter and Saturn before in different live streams, which I really want to hunt down, but man, it's like so many videos. But I should have thought about it at the time. But if you're an astronomer and you capture airplane trails across the moon, just take a look at it. You'll see that the vortices are very noticeable. It looks like a spiral trail. And then you look at the wave videos or the refraction videos, and you see there's a very defined edge. There's momentum. It's got its own vector, and they come the same direction, and they always come in twos. It's not one by itself. It's never three. So that's my thought. I think it's easy to shrug off, but a lot of people have captured it with different cameras in different parts of the world, and I think it's pretty fascinating as one extra proof that we live in an electric universe. it's looking fabulous. I always feel so lucky and a little guilty, but at least I'm sharing it with you guys and gals and everybody. This is out to the world. Hello, hello. What's up, plane? And what's up, 921 Virgo? Just scrolling back. Did I miss anything? So, switched up the lens. This is the camera direct to the 8-inch. And we'll scoot around, take a look at. This is Mari. I want to say. Is it Humorum? I think it's Humorum, but I'm going to pull up my atlas to double check. No, I am wrong. Damn it. Okay. So, to the right is Mari fecunditatis, and to the left is Mari nectaris. And I screwed up earlier, so I thought that was tranquility, but it's not. I thought that was serenity, but it's actually tranquility. So Chrysium actually creates that infinity sign with tranquility, not serenity. Just a little correction. Hey, what's going on? Bon dia. Cheers. Eat All Your Fish says, those are bubbling scars from electric discharge. I'm convinced. Telling you, you look at crystal growth in a laboratory, and you see the Thunderbolts project, Sapphire, you know, the anode, and then you look at electric discharge, cellular growth from Billy Elverton. It's really just like it all makes sense visually, and if you know a little bit about the math and the physics of it, it makes way more sense. Hell yeah, Mary. Glad you're here to see it. Glad everybody's here. All of y'all. The Space Fam. Oh, happy Honey Big Bear even. Awesome. Bondia and Duplicat, super must see. Heck yeah. There's a tiny bit of haze it just pops over the moon for a second and keeps moving. So right now it's just a tiny bit on the hazy side because it's starting to set, but it's really clear actually. And you can see this great view at the southern portion. These craters, smaller craters on the rims of other craters, other larger craters. I want to zoom in on this one region. I need to reset this. There it is. All right, so that is Fabricius or Janssen. I think it's Janssen. Yeah, Janssen and Fabricius and Metius are those chained craters at the bottom left. Immediate hexagon. Like I said, this is Janssen, Janssen. And the little crater to the right of that is Fabricius and Metius after that. And then, yeah, Metius almost looks like a pentagon. I just pinged Shockwave. Help him join the chat. So I appreciate everybody hanging out last night for the first guest on TakeBackSpace, and I really enjoyed it. I'm going to try and do that once a week to start. And then I want to figure out a way to get some of my regulars to do segments, maybe. Or like if you guys have questions and want to talk for a few minutes, I want to figure out how to do that almost like an old school radio show. So I'm going to be working on that soon. or every night, basically, soon. So love this Jansen crater. You can see a lot of the cuts. These the sinuous rills are very thin and snaking like rivers, but you also see cuts that are much larger, and it's just like the recursive nature of the electric discharge machining, creating the same sort of shapes and at all different sizes and magnitudes. This part is really cool looking. You can see dendritic, dendritic branching right here, almost like this thick branch in the middle, and then 3 little branches coming out, 4 even. Close-ups of the moon tonight. And groovy tunes, a little. The impact of the Rick. What's going on, C. Smith? How you doing? Yeah, totally freaked out for me too. It started trying to reconnect a bunch, but I didn't do anything. Yo, what's going on, Jimbo Khan? How you doing? Cognitive, do you mind if we don't talk about that in this chat? I'm going to remove that comment, but just let's change the topic. Please. Dealing with a little bit of cloudage right now. I'm gonna change up some tunes. It looks really cool. going on? Be Smart, welcome. Jimbo Khan says, I think I heard the song live at a fish show. Is that I'll take that as a compliment, but I don't know if you meant it that way. Yo, just jumping in here. Been rocking some tunes. We're over here at Jupes. Really cool configuration tonight, as always, I want to say. And I just want to hop into this little conversation. What's happening, Sully's girl? You made it. Midway through the show. Love it. I'm trying to catch up on all these comments real quick. V-Smart asked me if I see the... What's that recent one? The Hubble STS. Let me see if I've actually seen that one. I know something popped up just today. That's probably the same thing. Yeah, the Space Telescope Science Institute. I always forget that one. All right. I'm going to check that out for sure. Although they do not talk very much about the electric universe, which is a bummer. But I like to know what everything is, what the current kind of thinking is in the psychology. Got a little hungry, went and got something to drink. I got some hazelnut milk, which is amazing. Speaking of smoothies, I luckily had some really good hazelnut milk, so that's what I'm enjoying. Cognitive dissonance is talking about how electric universe so-called borrows from other models. I think you have to be a little bit more specific in terms of, like, if you mean the fact that space is a real thing with real planets in it, I feel like that's not borrowing, that's just what we see. And of course, Electric Universe and even Thunderbolt's project presents videos from a very cautious and very calculated perspective. They try not to say things that incite people, and they try not to really speculate too wildly. And I feel like it could be a reaction to that. I think Thunderbolts and Electric Universe in general is just more of a tool for each person to decipher the universe on their own. Damn, so many things to catch up on. Of course, let's see if I missed any of y'all. Sully's girl, 24/7, what's happening? Shockwave, Rick is saying space-time is bullshit of Einstein's mathemagic. It's not real. That's very true. The reification, borrowing from Theoria of space as a thing, and the fabric of space-time is also not a thing. And just like a shadow is really just the absence of light in and of itself is not a thing, and you can't reify a wave. A wave is what something does, not what something is. And essentially space-time and the whole idea of these black holes and the Big Bang and the expansion of space-time really mathematically looks really fancy and amazing and can work in circumstances that need mathematics, but in terms of what the physical observations of the universe are, it really doesn't seem like it actually holds up. And people don't realize that Einstein really didn't get the Nobel Prize for energy. He got it for the photoelectric effect, which is a different principle, which actually is based on correct science. So even Einstein and all the people that, that are talked about in conspiracy circles, like this guy was wrong, and that guy sucks, and that guy's a Mason, and that guy was hiding shit. Everybody has a little bit of truth, and mostly they're wrong. So I think every person has to have a critical, or I try and have a critical perspective on things, and Thunderbolts and Electric Universe so far has been the most yielding tool and filter through which to experience the world around me and to decipher what makes sense and what doesn't in terms of what I see and how I can relate it. So that's how I perceive the Electric Universe cosmology. It's really not about necessarily Walt Thornhill or Velikovsky, although I enjoy all that stuff. But it doesn't mean it has to be that same way for everybody. Okay, so getting to the point where cognitive has actually met God. Was the sun in a trip or after an accident? It's getting real heated. I love it. Rick shows up and gets crackly in here. All right, I'm going to try and head back to the moon before it sets entirely, but that's a little jupes. And I'll do a quick spin over to Cronus. Pay attention as we go to Saturn system. And need a little bit of tunage to go with that. Tunage. Actually, the best line for that, Alan Watts, total theft right here, but he said it's the guy who went to space and came back. And they're like, what does it look like? What is space? And he said, she's black.
17. Couldn't tell you, was living the dream. What could I do for a while? I played the field. How could I prove the hidden yield without the blues to heal? My heart was cool and left residue. Catch you if you fall, catch you if you love. Your look goes high enough, like friends you used to know. Catch you if you fall, catch you when you're low. Gloria, I love when you have me. Take a good look. It's a simulation. Wake up in solitary. Wake up. It's January. Man, don't you know your life is worth more than What would you have me do? Take a good look. It's a simulation. Wake up in solitary. Wake up. It's January. Man, don't you know your life is worth more than Catch you if you fall, catch you if you're low. The look goes high enough, as fast as you can go. Catch you if you fall, catch you if you're low.
Alright, let that play for a second. I'll run it back for a minute, but I just want to say thanks for the awesome chats, everybody. I'm watching this, and yeah, this whole row going on between cognitive dissonance and shockwave. It is fun, but it's also a tiny bit stressful, I'll be honest. Because it's just like nobody's on that trip right now. Everybody's kind of chilling, listening to some tunes. So maybe let's move on to another topic, cognitive, and yeah. Anyway, I don't want to be to police the chat, honestly, but I feel like those big blocks of text is just a little bit stressful. Let's move on to talking about some Saturn and a little bit about what y'all think of my hypothesis and this idea that because we live in a magnetous shell, possibly the Saturn wave or the Saturn refraction is due to, electrical currents in these shells, and or other different shells like of different planets, or electric charge coming from space interacting with the shells around Earth, therefore creating a refraction in the, it looks invisible to us, but it's basically made of organized energy. The same way you see it in the Sapphire video, these shells basically sort out, I want to say particles, but really they're just perturbations in the field, and they are organized magnetically and electrically. So that's my thoughts on the lunar wave. I mentioned it earlier, but I definitely feel like it's an electrical event. It's some sort of aberration in the magnetic plasma shells around Earth at different layers. We don't know exactly, I can't tell for sure, but it definitely moves, it has its own momentum. It's definitely not airplane trails or turbulence because it doesn't spin and it doesn't have rough edges, it's very sharp. It's also not camera because you would see what a camera glitches, the whole screen would glitch. Also, people would have tons of issues with Sony if it basically had this weird like prismatic refraction effect on Sony cameras in general. So not cameras, not airplane trails. Many people can capture it. It's got to be something in the magnetic shells, or at least I think it's magnetic shells around Earth. And the shells are perturbed in a certain way, like charged, or like even now, we're looking at a sky where you're getting these little ripples, but I feel like the wave or the refraction effect is much more pronounced. It's nothing like these little ripple waves that we see, because it shifts the entire image if you go back and check the video. So that's my opinion on it. I feel like it makes sense, and it's a lot like the electric universe, where when you fundamentally look at electricity being the primal force of nature, Mr. Beale, you realize that you can explain almost everything from matter to consciousness to interactions between people to the shape of planets to the shape of the universe, using modalities of conscious space or dark matter or the ether or plasma or a fishbowl full of photons. We're all trying to say the same thing, basically God. For every different person, it's a different word. So for me, I don't believe in the typical religious archetype, but I can't say that everything in the Bible is totally incorrect. I also can't say that it's totally correct, because language and documents are interpreted and passed down and changed, just like we are, just like our DNA is. It's not even that somebody's trying to fool us, it's just that naturally things actually variate. And what's going on, Michigan? How you doing? So, sorry, man. I asked politely, and I don't really want to deal with that right now. So, little timeout, and then if you come back, I hope you're not insulted, but I really asked you politely. Anyway, just moving on. It's not about negative energy, it's about kindness and open-mindedness and just treating each other well, because there's so much crap in the world anyway. There's so many places where people are treated poorly. And so if we can make a tiny little space on this crazy platform we call YouTube and treat each other well, then it feels like we're able to kind of, I don't know, maybe it doesn't mean much, but for me it means something. And I hope for all of y'all it does too. So, I want to say what's up to Michigan Woodland Warrior, welcome, and everybody else joining. Let me know if I missed you. hanging out here at Saturn, trying to get this view a little bit sharper, but that's about it. It's kind of doing some magnetic waving at the very lowest fractal level. I mean, it is the same, I guess. At these very small levels, it's basically fractal noise patterns, grain, flowing in a direction. And the waves or the refractions are much more, much larger versions of that fractal. So zoomed out, zoomed out, zoomed out, and it's just a whole new layer of that where it's sharp and defined. And it must be a more intense version of these tiny ripples that we see, but of a massive magnitude. All right, music coming through. Let's put this one.
Oh, with your candlelight, I got your potion while I play. Your distant wish is my delight. To your fire in the sky. Oh, I'll take you for a while. Carve out a rose for you. For you. Do what you do to try to feel special. But you lose what you do when you got your cute social. Oh, it's just like humans, brains. Try to feel special. Caught on the apple peel. You gotta feel special. What you do to try to feel special. But you lose what you do when you got your cute social. Oh, it's just like humans, brains. Try to feel special. Caught on the apple peel. You gotta feel special. Can't you feel? Can't you feel? It's your memories.
Hey, Starlight, that's great to hear. I'm so happy you found the show. I always feel like those connections are serendipitous. And I get to share it with you and all of y'all. Back at Jupes, looking pretty incredible, if I may say. I just bring the views, Jupiter does the rest, and my accent creeps in sometimes. Or my newly formed southern accent. To the right, Io, you can see it hanging out to the right at like the 4 o'clock. To the left would be Europa, Callisto, and Ganymede. They're out of frame, but I'll get back to it. I gotta say, just talking about John Denver, fake death, makes me think of the Paul McCartney. Not that I believe it, or maybe it could be true, but the fact that just letters F-A-U-L instead of Paul is just the funniest thing imaginable to me. Just reading all those articles where people are really serious about the Paul McCartney or foul faux McCartney. It's absolutely hysterical. I can't help it. It's that funny bone. Funny money bone. Not chill. Okay, well, cognitive, I gotta say, man, the vibe is just super downer. I'm not sure why you wanna just be pointing fingers. Also, I asked you politely, and I only have so much recourse except to be polite and ask you to chill out. Honestly, nobody's getting down with what you're talking about, and Shockwave will will definitely go on and rock your world with some Electric Universe stuff. I don't know. It sounds like you're pretty upset, and I don't really want to be the center of that necessarily, if you don't mind. But, so I'm really digging on this view of Jupiter right here, and Io. What up, Rick Dangerous? So John Denver didn't die? I don't know. Is he? I thought he was alive, but he's dead. What was it? It was a plane crash, right? That was, sorry. I'm mixing up my Denvers. Pretty sure, right? John Denver, De Niro. John Denver. Oh. Okay, he died in 1997. How did he die? Nobel laureate, career peak, yeah. Rutan long easy plane crashed into Monterey Bay on October 12th, 1997. All right, I wasn't totally imagining it. It's the Denver effect. Starlight says, is the red storm still going on Jupiter? It is, but it's on one of the sides. It probably disappeared or has yet to emerge from the left, which hopefully it will. I'm not so sure, but we'll see. Yeah, all the plane crashes with those amazing, like, musicians like Randy Rhoads and what's the other guy? The Los Lobos, Richie Valens, right? But I always want to say Lou Bega. No, what's that guy's name? Lou Diamond Phillips. That was just such a seminal movie. I could never get over it. So, like, when I saw the picture of the actual Richie Valens, I still think it's Lou Diamond Phillips, Lou Diamond Bega, Diamond Bagels. Now I'm hungry again. The word game takes you down the munchy rabbit hole. All right, be quiet, me. I'm gonna find this track. There we go. I love this shot of Jupiter. And I love that I can bring it to y'all even more. And it's totally fine to be cheesy sometimes, because we all need a little bit of care and laughter. Blue Diamond cashews. Blue Diamond Phillips head screwdriver. Lou Gehrig's disease diamond mines in South Africa. Stevie Ray Vaughan, right, was a helicopter, you're right. Randy Rhoads and Richie Valens and the Big Bopper. But there were other people too. I know that's super cliched, it's like such surface. Right now I'm not recalling all the other people who died in weird plane crashes, but I'm sure there were others. But mostly they were heroin overdoses. All the great singers, for some reason. Thank you, Sue Hill. Welcome to you. Hope you're feeling all right. 10:26. It's a bit sweltering, but not too bad. Exactly. Blue Diamond Phillips. Thank you. Blue Diamond Wilson Phillips. Yeah, what happened to Lou Diamond Phillips head screwdriver? Let's see. He probably did like soap operas after that. Yeah, that's still his claim to fame. La Bamba. Oh, he looks pretty good. Oh, he owns the Tribeca Grill in New York. That's pretty funny. Did the 1996 revival of The King and I. That was that 60s or 50s movie with the original guy who did Westworld, the original Lou Diamond Phillips. I gotta remember who he was. Yul Brynner. Yeah, he was pretty awesome. Young Guns, right? What else? The King and I, Tony Award for, yep, Young Guns, and Courage Under Fire. That was good. The big hit I didn't see, Broke Down Palace, was really rough. Oh, he was in Che. I haven't seen Che. And then the 33 in 2015. All right, so he's still going strong. Lou Diamond Phillips. Yeah, let me check if the red storm is coming around. If Stellarium will let me figure that piece of information out. I think it should, but sometimes it's not consistent. And also, I feel like we're going to be able to watch IO either go in front. Actually, that I can double check. So let me put this through the ocular filter. Filtaro. Alright, so Io will go behind Jupiter. Io is right there at the 4 o'clock. And then the red storm, that's about an hour ahead. It doesn't look like it's appeared yet. So, I don't think so, sadly. But you never know. I've definitely seen the red storm, and it wasn't up on Stellarium. And then I've not seen the red storm, and I've seen the red storm on Stellarium. So it's not so consistent, which is weird, but also that's the sitch. I'm gonna run this back for a couple. I like this part. I want to write a track like this again, but this is one of those like single thoughts. I just wrote this in one afternoon and I never went back. Coherence. an important optical connection to make. So you'll see, if you match this image with the Sapphire project anode, you'll see that this is the same type of essentially cellular diffraction growth. What is it called? It's called reaction diffusion. So essentially, it's past the path of least resistance, and it grows out in a branching motion until it finds its next space, and then fills that in, and the next one fills that in. So it's like a growth system. And intrinsically, I think it's electrical in nature, primally. But you'll see that we're looking at Antares, that star that's under Jupiter. Obviously, it's typically very red, and this is normally how it looks, but it's intensified by the fact that it's close to the horizon. Also, I've got the 3x multiplier going. So I want to talk quickly just about the patterns that appear as we look at this star. So you'll see that it looks almost like a fingerprint, like those fingerprint scan ID things, or our fingerprints. And two, it looks like reaction diffusion growth, which you see on the anode in the Sapphire laboratory. And you'll see how the little kind of nodules on the sphere in the center kind of push together in this type of pattern that looks like fingerprints. And this is what we're looking at right now, which is energy patterns through our atmosphere, magnetosphere, ionosphere, and plasma shells as it goes outwards, creating what is very organized geometry, even though it's random, but it's noticeable. Anyway, so it's also flickering because that's really induction rate moving at in a wave function. What is it called? It's not pinching, it's compression rarefaction. That's what it is, compression rarefaction. Anyway, a little thoughts and cognitive dissonance. Man, if you read back through all the comments, you'll see the vibe definitely seems stressed. I would hope that you could just chill with us, and there's no reason for you to leave, but insisting that you want to say what you want to say when the entire room doesn't feel like they want to talk about that doesn't really make sense. It's not even vibe, like you're just not reading the room. And I'm also the host of the channel asking you to like drop it. So if you could just respect that, that would be great. And if you want to leave, you're also welcome to leave, but you don't have to. So checking out Antares for a second, and I'm going to head back to, where was I? I was just at Jupiter. So let's check out Kronos again and get some funk up in here. A little bit of plasma funk. And that bass is fuzzy. Yo, what's up, Easy E? Oh, so Antares, Rick Dangerous, not Shockwave, is just all the stars. If I went to another star right now, it would look similar to this. It wouldn't be maybe as bright or as flickery, but basically they all have the same sort of signature in terms of the pattern. So if you see the little pattern that we're looking at, this is our atmosphere. Atmospheric, like Shockwave said, it's atmospheric diffraction, but the diffraction has recognizable patterns. It's cymatics, basically. And so, but if you look at the Sapphire project from Thunderbolt's project, and also a lot of other electrical phenomenon, you'll see this recursive geometry, which is called reaction diffusion. And so essentially it's the way a tree grows, it's the way the nerves in your body grow, and it's called the path of least resistance. So it'll start growing, and if it finds a spot that's easier to go through, it'll go through that versus another spot. And by doing that, this kind of rule, it's how you can create very organic branching patterns throughout nature by using the same rule set and the same ingredients. So electricity and rate of induction, or photon illumination, or radiation. There are a lot of different words for it. That's why we have such disparity in science and conspiracy, because people are really looking for the same sort of thing, God, or the answer to the afterlife and why we exist. And then, but at the same time, you're going after the same things because the mundanity of Earth already, like, we know how to drive cars and live in houses, but we have no idea where the moon came from or where we come from. So everybody's trying to get to the same place. This is a middle ground. Exactly. Fractals are not just geometry, but fractals, I think, are information. So our thoughts and our language are like fractals too, up and down. I feel like the planets talk to one another in a language that we can't understand, or we hear as all this noise, and they must be communicating. And the particles, and for people who love quantum stuff, those particles are also probably singing to one another in some resonant frequency. It makes a lot more sense than isolation and islands. And I'm going to find a tune, because it's always better to have some jams going. Man, I'm getting cooked. You know, when I start blabbering, it's because my brain is on the melt. Everything's making me hungry. Let's go with some low-key meditative. Yeah, so it's interesting that the finger that we have on our hand has the same pattern that exists in the sky. Like, if you just hold up your finger to the screen, you'll see that it matches what I'm looking at. And that's crazy. That's just absolutely madness to me. So the planets are conscious, and the universe probably is conscious to its siblings and its family, at least as far as we can understand. I think that's the closest we can get to understanding the universe holistically, and understanding the afterlife, or what happens during death and birth, is that it's a cycle where you either go up and down depending on the charge. So the charges are brought against you and you turn into something. I actually was talking to Shockwave, to Rick, about this, and I think like everything just goes up in density. So animals will become more sentient, humans will become more superpowered, planets will get larger and more powerful and more energetic. It might mean the end of this human race, but there will definitely be a species on Earth that will thrive. And I think that's cool. I never really felt the need to save this Earth because I'm not separate from it. And I don't feel the need to save myself. But Gigi Fo, Gigi Fo. No offense to my little friends across the pond. They're not all little. Jeez. All right. That's just me. Did something pass by? I don't know. Did I miss it? I was trying to read all the comments. Hey, what's going on? Beat Airspace. Beat 3 Airspace. Yeah, actually, I was not arguing, but I think that their consciousness does exist a little bit like ours. Rick doesn't seem to think so in the way that we think. I think, therefore I am. But I think they have their version of reality TV and telescopes and familial issues and hopes and dreams. I leave room for that. Chakra says, screw that, I'ma live forever. Forever. I don't know. Well, maybe your information, all these YouTube chats will live forever. So in some ways you will. In some ways we all will. All right, let's switch over to Saturna. Saturn rolling into the 2 hour mark. Feeling good, but definitely getting hungry. I think I'm gonna go for maybe 20, 30 more. 20, 30 seconds, Towley. Eat all your fish says plants scream when you cut them. Fact. They release a hormone that is equivalent to a distress cry. Think of cut grass or smoked. It's true. I agree with that. I've seen those experiments. Can't remember the name, but somebody hooked it up to an EKG. Was it? It wasn't Edgar Casey. It was somebody else. But you can definitely see that everything in the universe really seems to be the same. And Alan Watts puts it really well. He says everything in the universe, from the planets and the stars to us and the tiny little mice and the bacteria and the quantum particles, every last bit of it is thinking, am I going to make it? Are we going to make it? And the answer is really no, we're not going to make it. And I find that really funny and calming, because we get a chance to experience this, and that's really all it is for now, until we get another chance to experience this. And that's all there is. All the other stuff doesn't make sense, because it's just the idea that we can exist in the now and think about the past and the future, but really all that we have is the one moment of experience. Yeah, I totally saw that. But I do believe that you're supposed to eat plants, and I guess animals to some degree, because you do see animals eat other animals. I've stopped eating meat, but I think it's more because I wanted to stop as a balance. Because you spend your whole life, if you end up in your 30s, you spent 30 odd years eating meat. I think it's a good move to spend 5-10 years not eating meat, and that's a way you can have an impact on industry by really just abstaining. It's a simple way to cast a vote that actually counts. I find it interesting. I'm glad this segued to something that I've always wanted to say. I've said it a lot, but I haven't said it in a while, which is how people complain about movies but then go see the movie, and they say it's a guilty pleasure, or they see a TV show and they're like, and I know this sounds very, very judgmental, and I'm definitely guilty of doing this. I'll say things like, oh, I hate that show. I hate what that implies or what that means. It really bothers me, but I'll still watch it. However, I've gotten to the point, same thing with meat and other types of things where I'm just like, no, like, I'm going to abstain. If I really don't like that movie, I'm just not going to go watch it simply because it's out. And I used to really go do that. I used to be like, oh, that's another blah, blah, blah movie. I'll just go see it for the graphics. I'll just go see it for the soundtrack. I'll just go see it because that director made it. And then I start to realize, I'm like, well, if I keep going, they'll keep making these really terrible movies. and now that I completely abstain, at least it's one less person going to those theaters. And I don't know if that really means anything at this point because they're making money hand over fist. But if I can do it with meat or any number of things, then yeah, try. You gotta try. I think eggs too. They're something that occurs in nature. Lots of animals eat eggs. They eat their own eggs. They eat eggs of other creatures. Even birds. There are certain birds that eat meat. So at the same time, essentially it's beautiful and terrible at the same time. And if that's the case, then you can't really solve it and make it all beautiful. But honestly, it's not all terrible since we're here right now, until we're turned to stone by the next comet. Or the sun goes out on us. But at that point, I think the mind kicks into such a different state of electrical charge, but really, all these hormones are secreted, and the brain goes into overdrive and survival mode. If something happened to the sun, people would not be acting normal, so-called normal. So I always kind of I don't take this for granted, just sitting here and enjoying something very, dare I say simple. This is not very simple, but it does feel like the simple life. This is like what our ancestors did, with a little less tech, or maybe better tech, I don't know. Definitely clearer skies. Seems like back in the day you could see a lot more. Rick says something, if you want to eat meat and honor balance, try switching to free-range, non-GMO fed meat. But I'll rebut that all those labels, you really don't know. I don't know if those are all real. You see all this organic and FDA approved, but who are those people? What are they approving? If you look up the Codex Alimentary and look up these types of practices with GMO, you can get around so many loopholes to call something non-GMO or grass-fed. It's just a way for the farms to keep selling their product. Now, does that exist on a small scale? Yes, but to really just reliably get that type of meat, I don't know. If you're on a farm, it's really different. In a city, I gotta say, you can't really go to Publix and get reliably good grass-fed non-GMO meat that doesn't look like it's been run through 55 factories and cooked 85 times and then re-rarefied and then shot up with hormones. So I just eat vegetables, and I definitely still eat eggs. Can't really stop eating eggs, but not that much. It's been a few years. Still fit. Also, you're a lot lighter. However, I have had farm, real wild meat, and the real way that I know if meat is great is the fat content. So I know this is gross for non-meat eaters, but I used to be a meat eater and a huge foodie, and when I grew up and I had farm animals, chickens were lean and tough, and rabbits were lean. They had a little bit of fat, but not that much fat. And what else? I guess pigs always had good fat content, but yeah, lamb was different. I mean, the stuff in the States is so fatty and juicy and amazing, but it's also like not real, not realistic. It's like free energy. You just can't get juicy meat just because you want it. These animals, like healthy animals, are really lean, like goats. If you see those like Anthony Bourdain shows where he goes and eats out in the field with the tribes, that's the type of meat that I would be like, all right, I'm gonna eat that because that's like done out here in the wild. I'm losing the view here. It's just Saturn. I'm gonna head over to Jupes real quick. Oh, let me clarify that. I didn't mean like fat is bad. I just mean like the type of fat. If you've ever had like farm raised meat with dark meat, you'll see that it's a different type of fat. It's like a bit yellow and it tastes a bit different. And the fat that you get like with, for example, like a butterball turkey or like a, you know, supermarket chicken, I just don't know if that's like really the best thing to eat necessarily. I don't know, once you stop eating it, you start realizing how much lighter you feel and how much more in tune you feel. But that's just me. I know a lot of people have said that. I always used to scoff at that type of language and kind of I thought people were being patronizing, but in fact some things when you feel patronized, some things are correct. So I enjoy it, but maybe one day I'll eat meat again. Are eggshells good or bad to eat? I can't say. I'm actually really finicky about that. I eat so many things. I'm such a foodie, but if I get eggshells, it really bums me out. So I've learned how to cook better. Cook better and get no eggshells in there. Actually, you just get better at learning how to remove them and spot them. There's something about it, like I just don't want things to be crackling with my eggs. Except for my bacon, but I don't eat that anymore, so. All right, another good opportunity to blast this Sapphire video. If you don't eat your meat, you can't have any pudding. How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat? Yes, get on with it. And that's your Sapphire. And some Floyd. Yes, you. Get on with it. Spent my childhood trying to re-record The Wall, and also Justice for All, and also OK Computer. And what other albums? I tried to record a whole bunch of covers when I had a 4-track recorder as a teenager. This Tascam 4-track. And I just bounce things back and forth. I'd use like a tape deck and the 4-track to create layers. Early stuff. What's happening? Douglas Sipes says, can you play catch? Sure can. Sure can, man. I played it earlier, but I can't play catch too many times. My favorite part of The Wall, besides all of it, is the trial File's amazing.
I left home.
All right, I'll shut up for a bit.
Yes, you. Stand still, laddie. Tell ya, I was living a dream. What could I do? For a while I played the field. How could I prove the hidden yield without the blues to feel? My heart was cruel and left no residue. Catch me if you fall, catch me when you're low. The look goes high and high, as friends you used to know. Catch you when you fall, catch you when you're Gloria, I love you. Take a good look. It's a simulation. Wake up, it's solitary. Wake up, it's imaginary. And don't you know your life is worth more than what you have. Take a good look. It's a simulation. Wake up, it's solitary. Wake up, it's imaginary. Man, don't you know your life is worth more than Catch me if you fall, catch me if you're low. The loot goes high and up, as fast as you can go. Oh, catch me if you fall, catch me when you're low.
All right, everybody. I think I'm gonna call it actually. The clouds have moved in, and I'm pretty tired, I gotta say. But it's been a really fun show tonight. 2.5 hours, that's good. Some plasma, some connection, kindness, even to everybody with disparate and different opinions. We just gotta try and work together and figure out how to sort those differences in the best way possible. Even like, you don't have to believe in everything everybody else believes in, and other people don't have to believe exactly what you believe in order to be kind. I know I'm driving Shockwave crazy with all the electronic vibes, but I like playing across the board. Now, Shockwave, last night us talking was really great. Like I said, I want to do like a regular, mostly talking show, and we'll do more musical interludes, but I think people really enjoyed it. I just want to, we'll keep mixing it up. I definitely appreciate everybody's chat tonight and last night. Go share the Sapphire project video, and also check out all the EU people. EU. The PC, the plasma cosmology people. Links in my description. If you want to support me, you can throw me $1 or something, or a listen in Bandcamp, links in the description. Or you can get the whole collection for like, name your price. And thanks to everybody who has bought my music and says really nice things about it. I do appreciate that so much. It makes it like really worthwhile. That's about it. That's what I got. We'll let Jupiter drift, and Saturn is already covered by clouds. I'll try and get on tomorrow. If not, I'll see you the one after. Feeling the energy here, and you guys are so supportive. It's really encouraging. You know, the change comes from a small group of people who have the correct intentions, you know, and can see the future in a positive way. And it's amazing, you can see a version of that, a fractal recursive pattern of Montgomery Childs and Michael Claridge and the rest of the team at Sapphire doing the same sort of thing. It's electric, so to speak. And like, just what they're doing seems like this, I don't know, it feels like one of the best science videos I've seen in so long. It like makes me really feel inspired again. Even though all their videos feel like that, but that one particularly, like everybody was on the edge of their seat. So go check out the Sapphire video, all the other EU channels, Electric Universe Eyes, Greg J does amazing stuff, amazing long form videos. And thanks again, everybody. Let's go through the chat real quick. Thanks V-Smart, thanks for hanging out, and Genghis Khan, and Beat 3 Airspace. Starlight, I hope you feel better after this and let the vibrations extend past the show. Sue Hill, I appreciate you hanging out. Happy Honey Big Bear and Kimberly Schick. Many Hearts. Shockwave Rick, super appreciate it. I'll catch up with you soon. Eat all your fish. Take care, brother. More Jello, please. I'd stream, but I'd be a flight radar. I'd be a fight radar. Well, I didn't see you earlier, but I hope you caught a little bit of the show. More Jello. I'll catch you soon. Douglas Sipes. Take care. Oksana. Stars in the Moon in a Wave. Let me see. Ellie Wynn, of course. Mary White, of course. Wild Vicky, of course. C. Smith and Sully's Girl and Easy E and Cognitive Dissonance. Upside Down Cognitive Dissonance. And Rick Dangerous. And I hope I didn't miss anybody, but if I did, many sorries, or just say hi to me next time. All right, everybody, 11:11. Let this drift. Take care, stay wise, and stay kind. Peace. Mistaken mystery, peace. And Michael Wise, peace out.